Wistro AD200 flashlight from Godox. This thing is awesome. So I just want to run through what I've been doing since I moved over to Sony 12 months ago. I also invested in the Godox AD200 flash or speed light, whatever you want to call it. I've actually invested in two because I've always used two lights with my photography for off-camera flash. The main thing that drew me into this was high-speed sync. Using that with the LCD screen on an A7 III just blew my mind, and I have never looked back since. The AD200 isn't actually much bigger than a standard speed light, say the Canon speed light series. It is a bit heavier and it does have its own battery system built in, which is wonderful. It actually lasts quite a long time. Using two of these, I could alternate, or just using two at a wedding, I don't think I would ever come into a situation where I would run out of juice just using the one battery on a wedding day. You're not going to shoot all day with it, and it just performs wonderfully well. So as I understand it, it's 200 watt seconds, which is about 3 times as powerful as your average speed light. I use their own X Pro triggers, which I put obviously straight onto the camera itself, and it has its own built-in receiver, so you don't have to worry about any extra dongles or anything else. It just works, and it works flawlessly. The built-in radio system has been brilliant, and I very rarely get any sort of misfire. You know it's just going to work, and I haven't come across a single problem since using them. So high-speed sync, HSS, as I mentioned, it's the one thing that really drew me to the system. It's something that I haven't had any issues with overheating. It does need a second sometimes. If you are doing regular shots, especially in the daytime, you're not going to overpower the sun with it, although there is a double head you can get where you'd use two of these in tandem into one flash head, and that does seem to overpower the sun from other reviews that I've seen. With the high-speed sync, you can get shots like I'm about to show you, which they're just breathtaking. You get lovely colours in the sky, and obviously expose the couple properly, and it's just fantastic. The build quality on these are very good. They are heavy. They seem to be very well built. I have already dropped one. I will show you just here. So just there, I've dropped it, and that little bit of plastic there did pop out. Didn't seem to affect it in any way, and it seems to work absolutely fine right now. So these are much more powerful than a standard speed light, not really a studio light, so to speak. I actually have an AD600 which I use in the studio. That's fantastic, and I actually use these lights as a secondary flash or a backlit flash, so they do work fantastically well out on weddings. In the studio, they're great as a secondary light. I think you probably could use these in the studio, no problem at all. I only use them alongside as a secondary because I have the AD600, which is much bigger and more powerful, but it doesn't mean you have to have that. So it really is a mixture or hybrid of the two without having any stress of any extras. You just use the receiver, off you go. Very simple to use. That's enough chat. Let me just show you what I've done over the last 12 months. So with these, you can actually change the flash head on them. So it comes with a standard strobe flash head on there, but you can actually purchase, and they're not that expensive, an LED light source, which can be used as an LED lamp, but also a different style of lighting. But I've also got a bare bulb, which I do use when I put in the softbox, either out on a wedding or in the studio itself. That just gives you a much more even spread of light inside the softbox. But for most things, you can use this. Just to show you on the top camera though, they are really well made. You've got 2 threads, depending on how you want to mount it. You have your battery pack in there, which you would just pop out. The good thing with these is it comes with its own charger, so you just whack it on the charging port. Once it's done, it doesn't take that long, and the battery pack does last quite a while. Very well made, flash head there, and then screen on the back. So you would turn it on just by that one there. I already have it set with the modelling light ready to go. It's always handy, especially this time of year when it's dark outside. At least you've got a little bit of extra light just so you can set things up. You've got your options for changing the group and channel if need be, so it's easy to pair. A little flash button to set it off. Your dials if you want to up the intensity, of course, and change the power of the flash, and a few different mode buttons there. Once it is set up, I must admit it's very easy to use. Once you've got everything dialed in, then you just use the LCD trigger on camera, and obviously then you can set up and change all the settings just as you do if you were using it by hand. I've also recently purchased this round head, which I haven't had the chance to use. It only arrived yesterday, which is what spurred me on to make this review. Just to quickly show you as well how easy it is to change these heads over. This is another wonderful thing about this system. It's so easy to use. You just unlock it, clip that off, straight in there, and away you go. And there we have it. That's the first time I've actually put this round head on. I'd be very keen to see how it performs. It gives you a lot more options with regards to any flash modifiers that you want to use, which is obviously a really nice thing to do, especially if you want to put any sort of snoot on the end. The only other thing to mention is the softbox that I use. I actually tend to use these holders, which are great to use on any sort of light stand. So in this pack here, I've got 2 of these S-type Bowens mount speedlight brackets, if you will. They're designed mainly for speedlights, and you just pop your speedlight in there, clamp it down, and then you can put your flash modifier using the Bowens mount on there. Just makes it really easy, nice and simple to set up. Now I will say this with a little bit of trepidation, it does fit the Godox AD200 in this S-type mount, but it's very snug. So you have to open it to its absolute widest point and just give it a little wiggle and it will fit in. I haven't had to do any adjustments. I've seen people talking about carving it and shaving a bit of the plastic off, but I've never had to. You put it in and then it's ready to go, ready to be held on. Then the only other thing of note is the softbox that you may wish to use. I pretty much use this mainly for high-speed sync, so I don't tend to use it for any of my nighttime shots, but I do use it for high-speed sync just when we're in the afternoon sun. The sky looks fantastic. If the landscape is just right, then I will use it with this softbox. I've actually forgot the size of this softbox, but just to show you how easy this one is to set up, this is a very simple umbrella style mount. You just open it up, click it into place, and then apply your diffusion. It has 2 forms of diffusion included. Obviously you can use whatever you like. So whilst not a studio light, it is definitely better than any sort of speed light you could hope to use. Absolutely wonderful amount of power you get out of this. All the shots that you've seen were used either singly or clearly when we used 2 lights. I didn't use a double head just yet, as mentioned previously. The ease of use on these things are fantastic. The way they just work, plug them in and work. I haven't had to do any setup. You just turn them on, they find each other, you set the channel of the group if you want to spread them out, or you can put them all on the same channel and group, and they just work. The battery life is fantastic on them, highly consistent when using them. I haven't had any issues with overheating, even at 1-to-1 power. I've never really had a need to use 1-to-1 power, so therefore when I'm using it at lower power, it's just wonderful. I think as a wedding photographer, this is a must-have. They are not expensive. When it comes to any professional paid work, you do have to invest in your gear, but these are not that expensive. I just think you have to have them. They're wonderful. I will say, just for the record, I don't have any sponsors for this channel, and I'm not sponsored by Godox or Sony or anyone else. This is just what I think is the best value for money, bang for your buck that you can get right now. These AD200s are wonderful. I definitely start with one. If you can afford to get two, you've always got a backup and you can do some really cool lighting effects, especially at a wedding or elsewhere. I hope you've enjoyed this little review and informative as to how it can perform and what you can actually get out of these cameras. A lot of what you've seen already is my skill behind the camera and the quality of camera with the Sony A7 III and the lenses that I use. But when done right, you don't have to have the Sony system, and it really will be something that would just improve your images no end. I started out with a very simple flashlight. In fact, I was using the Yongnuo speed lights when I started, and you can see it doesn't always matter what you use, but if you're starting to get into it, this is a great way to go. As I say, it's not too expensive and it's definitely worth considering. If you do end up ordering anything that we've reviewed, especially these, let us know. I would love to see some results and it'd be great to see what you guys get up to with it. I really do enjoy making these videos. Thanks again for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you can be kept informed as to when our next video is coming out. And I will catch you in the next one.